man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the man got that stuff.
This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the leopard.
This is your boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash the True Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops 6 commentary video gameplay for you guys, and this is an interesting topic here. Now, some news did drop recently about not just the really not about the Switch 2, but about Nintendo as a whole in Canada. But I'm gonna cover that next week because that is interesting. I do want to share my 2 cents on that situation. But we need to talk about something that was brought to my attention, like a week and a half ago, whatever the case may be. So let me give you guys a backstory. So for those of you who have not been watching my videos, or really my last video, whatever the case may be, I was out of town for a Pokemon Go event, and because of that, I'm behind on a crap ton of YouTube videos. So when I got back, I started watching these videos. So I got to the Gaming Illuminaughty Podcast. So it's a podcast that the Gaming Illuminaughty crew drop supposedly once a month, and it's the length of this podcast grew over time. Originally, I think it started off as 30 minutes long, then it got to an hour, then an hour and a half. This joint, if memory serves me correctly, is like 2.5 hours long or 3 hours long. So they gone up there, like they gone up to 3.5 hours long one time. I'm not joking, I'm dead serious. So here's the deal. So I'm watching their latest podcast because they got it on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and SoundCloud and wherever podcasts are played and stuff like that. But you can also watch the video version on YouTube. So I'm watching it, and then they get to a topic about the Switch 2 because let me see how long this one was. Yeah, it's like 2 minutes, not 2 minutes, I'm stupid. 2 hours and 50 minutes. So it's like close to really 2 hours and 51 minutes. So basically close to 3 hours. But I watched the whole thing, that's beside the point. So here's the deal. They got to talking about the Switch 2 because this podcast, I don't recall when they recorded this one, but it was recorded sometime after the Switch 2 came out, which is ironic because I was out of town when the Switch 2 came out. Now, yes, I do indeed have a Switch 2. I got that joint day one, and it was delivered to my house along with some snacks and a Coke from Walmart while I was in Jersey City. So that actually happened. Now, I'm listening to the Gaming Illuminaughty Podcast. So the podcast consists of the Black Hokage, or we call him TBH for short, UTxJGtheDon, or we can call him JG for short, Ethos, and Miss 5000 Rots, or Rots for short. So that's what the podcast consists of nowadays. Now, they talking about the Switch 2. So it's not a lot of, well, really, let's be honest here. There's really nothing positive that was said about the Switch 2 nor Nintendo. Now, there were some things that I took from the podcast that I want to address real quick. So let's get on with it. So the Switch 2 came out, and JG said, talking about really the only new game that came out for the system was Mario Kart World. Let's be honest here. Like, yeah, there was a bunch of other games that came out around the same time the Switch 2 did, but they're all old games or games they can play on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X or S, maybe even PS4 and the Xbox One. So, yeah, old games that were brought over to the Switch 2. But the only new game that came out around this time was Mario Kart World. That was it. That was the only new game. And yeah, they did make some changes or upgrades to some other games, like for example Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. But again, the only new game that dropped and is still out at this point in time as of me recording is Mario Kart World. Now the next new game is that Donkey Kong Bonanza game. That one's coming out in July, later on this month. But there's only just one new game. So talking about that game, JG said outside of the world feature where you can we have free roam to explore the entire world and do whatever, he viewed it as Mario Kart. He viewed it as Mario Kart. And moving on to the Black or TBH, when he talked about Mario Kart World, he said everyone who has Mario Kart World says the world feature is ass and the best part is the racing. And he was confused by that because of the fact that, well, he was confused. Despite that, he was confused about the fact that the game got a 9 and 9.5 instead of a solid 8 or 8.5, because to him it looked like Mario Kart 8 DLC. So let's talk about Mario Kart World real quick. So Mario Kart World is more than what they said. This is obviously proves that they never mind. Well, neither one have a Switch 2, so I can't even accuse them of, oh, they didn't play the game. Well, obviously not, because neither one of them have a Switch 2. But they done no research on Mario Kart World. Now, yeah, the world feature is indeed, there's nothing to it. So yeah, TBH is correct on that part, but the racing is better. To me, this is a better game than Mario Kart 8. It's a much better game than Mario Kart 8. To me, I'm not gonna go far to say Mario Kart 8 is trash. I would only say that for personal reasons. But Mario Kart World to me is a much better game than Mario Kart 8. And yeah, there's some differences between the two. So for starters, instead of 12 players racing or 12 characters racing at once, it's now 24. So there's that. And then they got a new racing feature in the game. It's kind of like a King of the Mountain type of style where you're going through 6 tracks, like not simultaneously, but like back to back to back to back. There's no pause in between or anything like that. As soon as you cross the finish line, you're immediately in the next on the next track, you know, and you're still racing. But the amount of racers goes down. So like, for example, when you complete the first checkpoint, only out of 24, only like 20 can make it, and then the other 4 is out. And then after that, 16 make it, and then the next is out. And then after that is 12, and then after that is 8, and then after that is 4, and then out of the 4 remaining, whoever finishes first wins the whole thing. So they have I forgot what the mode is called, but yeah, that's a cool feature that they added to the game. The game is gorgeous, much better than Mario Kart 8 in terms of how it looks, obviously. You know, Switch 2, updated graphics and all that jazz. So there's that. And there's a lot of, well, obviously there's not like, so the characters are interesting. So in Mario Kart 8, they had the likes of, Animal Crossing, I believe. Link was in the joint, amongst other Nintendo properties. But in this case, not only are they not in the game, but they won't be added in. Not like in an update or a DLC or anything like that. More likely, as a moment of time, they won't be updated. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. But at least the current characters that they have in the game, they do have, you know, skins they can go through and stuff like that. So that's cool. But nevertheless, Mario Kart World is a different game than Mario Kart 8. And the fact that they look at it and said, it's still Mario Kart, I'm like, nah, y'all didn't do y'all research then. It's one thing to say they didn't play it because they don't have a Switch 2, so they can't play it, like I said. But to at least look at it and see how it is before making a statement like that. So to say, oh, it's still Mario Kart or it looks like Mario Kart 8 DLC, no, that is entirely incorrect. So they missed the mark with that one. Now, moving on to what they said, though, TBH brought up the fact that the Switch 2 do indeed have some mechanical issues. The controller drip is still there, and then there's another issue that carried over from the Switch over to the Switch 2. And yeah, that is a good point. That is a very, very good point. And it's like, what's his name? Rich Tomorrow, aka Review Tech USA. He talked about this in his video, and he said Nintendo could have put in the hardware or the components to get rid of the controller drip, to make sure that it does not exist on the Switch 2. But here's what Nintendo did. They wanted to cut down on costs, and they left the possibility of your Switch 2 having controller drip on the system. And what they doing now is, if your controller do have controller drip, you can send it to them, and then they'll replace it for free. And it's like, okay, that's fine. It's cool and all, but it shouldn't be there to begin with. Wherever other issues that was there on the Switch should not be on the Switch 2. So it's like, yeah, Nintendo, y'all fucking up here. So y'all took 2 steps forward, but again, y'all took 4 steps back. Because how is it that old issues that were on a previous system still exist on a newer system? That makes no sense. And this ain't the case of, oh, they went from the old Switch to the Switch OLED, or this old Switch to the Switch Lite, and then from that, no, this is a completely new system. And you mean to tell me that y'all still carrying the same issues from the previous systems over to this? Like, nah, they did on purpose because they want to cut down on costs, like Rich Tomorrow said. And to me, that's scummy. And yeah, that's trash. That's a load of bullshit. So yeah, that should not be a thing on the Switch 2. This should be a near perfect system. If new issues come up, okay, so be it. It is what it is. But the same issues as a previous system, as a previous generation of systems, nah, y'all scummy as fuck. So yeah, Nintendo, y'all took 4 steps back for that bullshit. Now, here's the thing. JT, continue on with the podcast. JT was criticizing people in terms of what they buy and what they shouldn't buy and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing about that. He have a point because what he was implying is something that I've been saying all this time. And that is this. If a company come out with crap and you buy it, then they're going to be like, oh, they like it, so let's come out with more crap. And it's like, no, we need y'all to fix the crap. But it's kind of hard for them to fix the crap when y'all keep buying the crap. So that's basically what he's saying. Now, am I saying the Switch 2 is crap? No. But at the same time, it's like, if people, because like, and then this brings up what TBA said. This system within the first week sold 3.5 million. That's the most a system sold ever within the first week of its release. And then the PS5 sold 1 million within this first week, which is still good, but 3.5 million is crazy. But he was saying, TBH, that is, was saying like, yo, if it sold like only 100,000 instead of 3.5 million, then Nintendo would have been like, oh snap, people are not buying this. We may have to do something here, like for example, include a game with it, or what he actually said, the price of it may drop. Because remember, by itself, this is $450, and then with the Mario Kart World game, it's $500. So it's like, okay, I had mixed feelings about that logic, but what JT said in terms of like, if people don't buy everything willy-nilly and stuff like that, especially when it's crap, then that will tell the ones making the product to say, yo, people are not buying this stuff. They saying it's crap. We need to fix it so they would buy it, or lower the price so they can buy it. That makes sense. That's something that I've been saying for a while, especially when it comes to NBA 2K. Especially when it comes to NBA 2K. Now, in terms of the Switch 2, so here's my thoughts on the Switch 2. A lot of people thought, myself included, that this joint would come out at $400. The fact that it came out at $450, I'm not losing sleep over it. So it's like, okay, so it's $50 more. So like, I can understand how some people can complain about $50 more, but it's like, should we really be complaining about $50 more? Whatever, it is what it is. Okay, that's different. That's, that I guess you can look at that and say that's different. Now, if we would have said, yo, this isn't gonna cost $400, and they came out with this joint at $600, oh, we have a problem. Yeah, now we had a point where it's like, okay, we have a problem here, and it's just a system and nothing else with it. And it still have the old issues as the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite and the Switch, original Switch. Nah, we have a problem. So if this mother would have came out like at $600, we would have had a problem. By itself, we would have had a problem. So, yeah. In that case, what TBA said would have made a lot more sense here than it does currently. Because again, most people thought it would be $400. It came out at $450. So I don't think a lot of people are going to be losing sleep over $50. So there's that. And then JT brought up the fact that FOMO is a real thing in terms of why people bought the Switch 2, despite the fact that it only had one new game and that was it. And it's because of FOMO. So I can understand it because, and then Ethos brought this up as well, because of what happened during COVID. When COVID was going on, because remember, once upon a time, the Switch was hard to find. The Switch was hard to find. The PlayStation 5 were hard to find. And the Xbox Series X were hard to find. And to the degree the S was as well. All these systems were hard to find during COVID. And that's the case. And then because of the whole terror situation, people thought that that might be the case here. So they jumped on this. Now, people like me, like I said, I got the Switch 2. I'm looking at it right now. I got it because I'm a live streamer. I live stream on Twitch and I play games off the Switch. So yeah, it was pretty much important for me to get the Switch 2 so I can live stream playing games on the Switch 2. Like for example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Mario Kart World at some point, and other Pokemon games. So yeah, it was important for me as a streamer who play variety games to get the Switch 2. So for a content creator like me, yeah. For Pokemon content creators or even Pokemon fans, yeah, because Scarlet and Violet is much better on the Switch 2 than it is on the Switch. But outside of that, should you really got a Switch 2? Nah, you could have rate, because I think I said this in the past video, whatever the case may be, and that is this: when Nintendo come out with a game, you know they're gonna come out with that bundle, that Switch 2 bundle with that game. So, you know, Metroid's gonna be coming out. There may be a Metroid Switch 2 bundle. So where the Switch 2 gonna look dope. You know, a Pokemon ZA bundle may be happening. I hope it don't, but that may be the possibility. So it's not the end of the world if you don't get a Switch 2 right away, especially since there's there's only one game out now at the moment, and then this month, July, they're gonna bring out another new game in the Donkey Kong joint. Pokemon ZA is coming out in October during TwitchCon, and it's like there's not a lot of new games that are going to be coming out like crazy for this device within 2025. So you're not missing much if you're not a content creator, a live streamer, or a huge Pokemon fan. You're not missing much. So yeah, FOMO, yeah, it's more of a FOMO thing in terms of why people bought it, and what Ethos says about the whole COVID mindset makes sense here as well. So overall, the bottom line is this: the Switch 2, yeah, I was loving the Switch 2. When I got back from the Pokemon Go event, I was playing this game like I was playing the games. You know, I playing the Switch 2, Mario Kart World like crazy, because yeah, it was a fun game, but it lasted for like 2.5 weeks, and now I moved on. For the most part, I'm playing other games. I'm trying to catch up on YouTube videos. I'm working on YouTube videos. I've been working on music. Announcement that coming soon, amongst other things. So the hype for the Switch 2 for me personally had died down a bit, but I still play it from time to time. And yeah, there you go with that. So that's my thoughts on that. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts about the Switch 2 and Nintendo, because again, I'm gonna get back on Nintendo next week. Nintendo is gonna get a verbal ass beating from me next week. So there you go with that. I'm gonna call it a wrap. And with all that said, y'all know this boy New Jay Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.